Hey guys, Jennifer here and welcome to the Family Fudge. Today's video is all about sandwiches. I know for many of us, sandwiches are a quick, easy, and affordable lunchtime staple. But I also know that sometimes sandwiches can get a little boring after a while. So in today's video, I'm going to be sharing with you 25 of my favorite sandwiches that you can make for yourself or for your kids. These sandwiches are cute and creative, but they're really easy to make. And you guys, to celebrate reaching over 700,000 subscribers on this channel, it's time for a giveaway. I'm going to be giving away 5 of these super cute lunch making kits. These kits come with sandwich cutters, fruit and veggie cutters, and an assortment of cute little food picks. Basically everything you need to create fun lunches just like I do. All you have to do to enter is make sure you're subscribed, leave me a comment down below letting me know what your favorite sandwich is, and then go ahead and use the link in the description box below. And you guys, this giveaway is open internationally. And now without further ado, let's get on to the sandwiches. I'm going to start by making some savory Peekaboo sandwiches. So to make these sandwiches, I started by cutting the bread into star shapes. Each lunch is going to have one of these sandwiches, which is probably a little less than half a sandwich each. And you guys, these Peekaboo sandwiches are really easy to do. So the first thing I'm going to add is a thin layer of cream cheese. And this time I decided to go with the chive and onion flavored cream cheese. This is really flavorful. So now that I have the cream cheese layer on the bread, I'm going to add a slice of rotisserie chicken deli meat. And to get this to fit our sandwich perfectly, I did go ahead and cut it with the same star-shaped cutter. Next, on top of the chicken, I'm going to add a layer of mashed avocado. Now this is just avocado with a little bit of salt and pepper, and I also added a little bit of lime juice in here as well, just to help the avocado stay nice and green. Now normally when I'm making these Peekaboo sandwiches, I would be adding sprinkles, but in this savory version, I'm going to add a little bit of this everything but the bagel seasoning. This goes so well with avocado, and my kids love it. There's a little bit of onion in here, garlic, salt and pepper. It really does look like sprinkles. So now I'm just going to place the top piece of bread. And you guys, even though these look really fancy, they were actually really quick and easy to make. And for this lunch, again, I'm going to be making a super cute but also quick and easy sandwich. And for these lunches today, Jackson picked out the little pig-shaped cutter. So for these sandwiches, I'm going to start out just like I did with the little cat-shaped sandwiches. I'm just going to use these cutters to punch out the little pig face. So for the sandwiches today, Jackson requested the classic combination of ham and cheese. But before I get those into the sandwich, I'm also going to add thin layer of mayo to the bread. And to Miss Lily's sandwich, I'm also adding a squirt of mustard. Next, I'm going to add on the cheese, and I did go ahead and cut the cheese before I added it onto the bread using the same exact cutter, and the same thing goes for the ham. I pre-cut that out, and I saved all of the extra pieces for a snack later. So check it out, you guys. These little pig sandwiches turned out so cute. I love the little snout piece. It's adorable. My first step for this lunch is to put together some chicken salad. I know Mackenzie is a big fan of egg salad and chicken salad in general, but since I just made her an egg salad sandwich last week, this week we're going with chicken. And I'm gonna keep this pretty simple here. I just added a can of drained chicken. I'm gonna be adding in some mayo. Next, I'm adding in some very finely diced celery. Now I'm going to finish this off with just a little bit of salt and pepper. Then I'm just going to mix it all together. Now I have a couple of different Hello Kitty sandwich makers, but I decided to use this big one today. This big guy is so cute, but unfortunately it's a little bit too big for my regular sandwich bread. So instead I'm gonna go ahead and use this kind. It's a little bit longer and it should fit this cutter a little bit better. I really think that the trick to making these cutout sandwiches is to not add too much filling, otherwise they tend to fall apart. Now I think this one turned out pretty good. I'm actually actually going to be using this really cute dinosaur sandwich cutter. It makes sandwiches super cute really fast, so that's exactly what I'm going for. I'm just going to add a little bit of mayo in here, followed by some slices of pepperoni. This is actually turkey pepperoni, so it's not as greasy as the regular stuff. And now at this point, I'm not actually going to be putting on the cheese. That's going to come in a minute. I'm going to go ahead and just add my other piece of bread with a little bit of mayo as the glue. Then I'm going to very carefully push the sandwich cutter through the sandwich. Now at this point, I'm actually going to take my slice of cheese and I'm actually cutting it in sort of a little zigzag pattern. And then I'm going to very carefully open up these little dino sandwiches and add it in. That way it kind of looks like the back scales of a dinosaur. Well, kind of. You get the idea. For Lily's lunch, I'm going to start by making her a good old PB&J. PB&J is something that she always enjoys, so I'm going to go with that. And to turn this into a mermaid sandwich easily, I'm just going to go ahead and use my little Lunch Punch mermaid sandwich cutter. I did go ahead and add just a little bit of food coloring to my sandwich cutter first before I cut out the sandwich. So for Griffin's main course, I'm going to start by making a classic cheese sandwich. Griffin loves cheese, and I'm going to do something a little bit different here. I'm actually going to be using one piece of regular bread and one piece of the heel of the bread, and you'll see why in just a minute. So I'm adding my mayo and my cheese, and now I'm going to close this up. Now to make this an easy Elmo sandwich, I'm going to be using this really fun sandwich cutter, and I'm actually going to cut through the sandwich with the heel of the bread on top, and that's because I have a few things I want to add to the top of the sandwich so it looks a little bit more like Elmo after it's cut. In this section where Elmo's eyes are, I'm going to be adding in some extra pieces of cheese with some olives for the center, and then for his orange nose, I'm going to be adding in a piece of carrot, and then for the inside of the mouth part, I just cut out an extra piece of cheese. Now you guys let me know in the comments down below, does this Elmo sandwich look cute or creepy? I'm not quite sure, but I think Griffin will love it. So I'm just taking some good old pieces of whole wheat bread for this, but you could use any kind that you prefer really. I just decided to go with the whole wheat because I plan to decorate the outside of this sandwich, and I'll show you that when I'm done. So as you can see, I have my ham and my cheese on here. I'm going to go ahead and close it up. I'm going to lightly butter the outside, and then I'm going to get this into my pan until it's nice and toasted. And I'm definitely going to keep my eye on this, you guys, because recently I've been letting myself get distracted while making grilled cheese sandwiches, and they get a little bit extra crispy, if you know what I mean. Okay guys, so now that this grilled cheese and ham sandwich is grilled, just for fun, I'm going to make this sandwich into a Domo sandwich. Now this is something that I did a long time ago, and I'm excited to be bringing him back today. If you guys are unfamiliar, Domo is a very popular and pretty old Japanese character. He is super cute, and it's actually really easy to make a sandwich look like him. All you need are some olives for his eyes, a strip of red bell pepper for his mouth, and then for his teeth, all you have to do is cut the cheese into a zigzag shape, I mean. And just like that, you have a cute little ham and cheese Domo sandwich. Alright, it's time for the kids to give it a try.
My favorite part was the sandwich.
My favorite part was the cookies and the cucumbers.
My favorite part was the cucumbers and the sandwich.
It's time to move on to the sandwich. And for his sandwich, he requested just cheese. Just mayonnaise and cheese, that's it. So that's what I'm going to start with, but I'm definitely going to jazz this up a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and cut a little bit of the bread off the top in sort of a half circle shape. And then I'm going to turn the sandwich into a cute owl sandwich. For the owl's eyes, I'm going to add a few slices of cucumber with some blueberries in the center. Then I'm also going to add a few little pieces of carrots, one for the beak and two for the little wings on the side. This is a super simple owl design, and I think it's pretty cute. So for this, I'm going to start by shaping my bread. I'm going to trim off the sides a little bit, and then I'm going to round the top like this, kind of like a minion shape. Now for the inside of the sandwich, I'm just going to be adding a little bit of mayo And then inside, I'm just going to add some pepperoni. If I had salami, I would use that, but unfortunately I don't have any in the house right now. Now you'll notice I didn't add any cheese to the sandwich yet. To make this guy look more Minion-like, I'm going to add some cheese right on top. And this is the most yellow cheese I could find. Next, I'm going to take a little fruit leather strip, and I went ahead and cut this smaller so that it kind of looks like the little goggle strap on a Minion. Next, I'm going to be adding a round piece of white cheese for the Minion eye. And then to finish this off, I just cut some different shapes of fruit leather. I cut a round shape for the center of the eye, a little zigzag shape to look like Minion hair, and I'm also adding just a teeny tiny little smile. And there you have it, guys. This little Minion sandwich is pretty cute. So you guys, when I see these ingredients, I'm reminded of a delicious fruit sandwich that I used to get all the time when I lived in Japan. They literally are called fruit sandwiches and they are so pretty. Now let me know in the comments down below if you've ever tried one. Today I'm going to be making a sandwich that is just inspired by the traditional one. To make the sandwich, I'm going to start by whipping up my cream. Now I'm just going to be making enough for my kids to have, so I don't need a ton, but if you wanted to make enough for the whole family, I'd recommend making a lot more whipped cream than this. Now, you definitely could leave this whipped cream just as is, but traditionally in a fruit sandwich, the cream gets sweetened just a bit. So I'm going to throw in a couple tablespoons of some regular white sugar. So now that our whipped cream is done, I'm actually going to stick it in the fridge so it can stay nice and cold while I prepare the rest of my ingredients. Now there are several different kinds of fruit that I normally see in a fruit sandwich, but I'd say the most popular choices are strawberry and kiwi. So for the strawberries, I've just washed them, I've cut the tops off of them, and then I went ahead and cut them in half. Now this is actually something that your kids could help you do. Now moving on to the kiwi, I'm going to go ahead and cut off the ends, take off the peel, then I'm going to cut these in half as well. Then I'm going to cut this into several thick slices. Now at this point, I'm going to take my cut up fruit and I'm going to lay it out on a nice clean kitchen towel. Of course, if you have paper towels, you can definitely use those too, but I'm just trying to get off any extra moisture because if your fruit is too juicy, it's gonna make your sandwich kind of messy and it might fall apart. Now it's time to build these sandwiches. So I'm gonna start by taking some nice soft white bread. Now this isn't the traditional kind that they would use in Japan, but this is the closest thing I have, and I think it'll work just fine. I'm gonna go ahead and cut off all of the crusts. And just like always, I am going to save these crusts. They are perfect for throwing into recipes, or you can even make breadcrumbs with these at a later time. Next, I'm going to go ahead and add a nice layer of whipped cream directly to the bread. Then I'm going to start placing my fruit on top. And as you can see, I'm trying to do this in an alternating pattern, and that's so when you cut into the sandwich, it's going to look so pretty. So now that my fruit is on there, I'm going to go ahead and fill in the gaps with extra whipped cream. Definitely don't want any gaps in this sandwich. Then I'm going to spread a little bit of whipped cream on my other slice of bread. Now I'm going to place the other piece of bread right on top. Now you guys, this next step is optional, but if you have time, I totally recommend wrapping each sandwich up in a little bit of saran wrap and placing it in the fridge for at least 30 minutes or so. That way when you cut into the sandwich, the whipped cream shouldn't squish out all over the place. And check it out, you guys, these look so good. This is definitely a main course that could also work as a dessert. Now today's lunch is definitely going to need to include bananas, because as you can see, I just have a few left and they're getting pretty speckly. They're not too old, but I definitely want to use them up. Today I'm also using peanut butter. I have plenty of that on hand. I really stocked up last time I went to Costco, so I'm foreseeing a lot of PB&Js in our future. So today's lunch is inspired by a teddy bear tea party. For this lunch, I'm just going to be needing one piece of bread per child, and I'm going to need to actually toast this bread before I can move on to the next step. And you guys, as you can see, I can only fit 2 pieces of toast at once, so instead I'm going to test out this idea I saw on Instagram. It's where you actually can line up several pieces of bread in your oven with a little baking dish underneath. That way I can toast all 4 slices of bread at once. But of course, anytime you're using the oven, you gotta be careful. So now that our toast is toasted, it's time to turn them into teddy bears. Now I've actually shown this several times on this channel, but just in case you haven't seen those lunches, all you have to do is spread on a good layer of peanut peanut butter. Now if you can't have peanut butter, you can definitely swap this out for sun butter or even cream cheese. And if you wanted to make this extra delicious, you could also use Nutella. Next, I'm going to go ahead and slice up some bananas. And it's actually a good thing that this lunch comes together so quickly, because if you take too long making this, your bananas are going to turn brown. So as you can see, I've added 2 slices of banana to the top of each piece of bread. Those are going to be our little teddy bear ears. Then I'm going to add 1 slice of banana a little bit above the center of the bread, and that's going to be our teddy bear's nose. Now, usually at this point, I like to add in fresh blueberries, but unfortunately I don't have any blueberries on hand, so instead I'm going to go ahead and use some chocolate chips. I have plenty of those on hand, and I think the kids will be happy to see them. And there you have it, guys. Just like that, you have some super cute teddy bear toast. I think these turned out very cute. So far this week, I've been making all meat-free sandwiches, but today I'm bringing out the chicken. Well, canned chicken to be exact. This canned chicken is definitely a pantry staple for us, but for today I'm actually going to be making it into a really simple chicken salad. Now this chicken is actually packed in broth, but I went ahead and drained off all the broth because I didn't want this to be a soggy chicken salad. And I did go ahead and break up the chicken just a bit. Next, I'm going to add in a little bit of mayonnaise, and then normally I love to add lots of different things into my chicken salad. Things like walnuts or pecans. Sometimes I'll add in celery or fresh grapes, but unfortunately I don't have any of those things on hand. But what I do have is a leftover salad kit pack. This has dried cranberries in here. There's also pumpkin seeds. And since I'm trying to use what I have on hand, I think I'm just going to dump this whole thing in. Now, I'm not 100% sure, but I think the kids will like this. Now, this may not be like the chicken salad I normally make, but I still think it's going to be really good, and I'm interested to see if the kids will like it or not. So instead of adding this chicken salad into a regular sandwich, I thought it would be really fun to make these into sandwich dumplings. I haven't done that in quite a while, and usually my kids love it. So to make these, I start by cutting out some bread into large circles. And then I actually happen to have one of these little dumpling makers, which makes this really easy. But if you don't have one, don't worry about it. You really could just go ahead, fold it over, and then you can actually seal your bread using a fork. So what you're left with is a really cute little sandwich pocket. So now that the main course is done, I'm going to move on to some fruit. And for today's lunch, I'm going to go ahead and just add some unsweetened applesauce. Now normally I think making an elephant sandwich would be pretty tricky, but if you have one of these elephant sandwich cutters, it's actually really easy. So for this lunch, I'm going to be starting with 4 pieces of bread. Now I know that sounds weird, but check it out, you guys. I'm using 2 pieces of just regular white, nice soft bread, and then I'm also using 2 heels. So this is kind of like making 2 sandwiches, but that is totally fine because I know all of my kids are going to want to try these. So for Evelyn's sandwiches, she requested cream cheese and cucumber. So instead of using regular cream cheese, I'm just using the garden vegetable. So for these sandwiches, I made sure to peel the cucumber skin off first, and then I slice the cucumber nice and thin. I think it's gonna fit a lot better in our sandwich that way. And I'm adding the same ingredients to both the regular bread and the heel bread. Next, I'm gonna go ahead and use my elephant sandwich cutter to cut out the elephant shape. And now you guys, the reason I decided to make a regular sandwich and a heel bread sandwich is so I can actually swap out the baby elephants, just like this. Now you definitely don't have to do this step, but I think that extra detail looks really cute. Now if you have them on hand, and you know I do, you could also add some little eye sprinkles to the top of your sandwich. A big eye for the mama elephant and 2 little eyes for the baby. To go under these elephants, I also added a little bit of cucumber that I tried to make look like grass. So now that these sandwiches are done, So to make Jackson's a rocket sandwich, I just use a little bit of ham and cheese. And to make this really easy, I just use my little rocket ship sandwich cutter. But if you don't have one of these, you really could just cut out some basic shapes to make your own rocket sandwich. To make make Lily's Raincloud Sandwiches, I'm going to be adding a combination of both peanut butter and Nutella. I know she's going to be super excited to see these. Once I have the sandwich filled, I'm going to go ahead and cut it out with this cloud-shaped cookie cutter. And don't worry, you guys, I get questions all the time about whether the edges of the sandwich get wasted or not. And no, they do not get wasted. Now, to make this into a happy little rain cloud, I'm going to be adding 2 blueberries for the eyes, a small piece of fruit leather for the smile, and 2 tiny pieces of strawberry to give this cloud some cute little pink cheeks. To turn this into a rain cloud, I'm going to be adding some blueberries down below to resemble raindrops. And since every once in a while the sun does peek out, I'm going to go ahead and cut the cheese into a little sun shape. I'll tuck it behind the sandwich just a little bit to make it look like it's peeking out of the cloud. And check it out, you guys. This turned out so cute. I love it. Now for our main course today, I'm going to be making one of Dad's favorites. It's called a Fluffernutter. For this sandwich, I'm starting with 2 pieces of Wonder Bread. Next, I'm going to spread a good amount of peanut butter on one side of the bread. And this is actually whipped peanut butter, so it's nice and airy and really easy to spread. Now, traditionally, I think you're supposed to use marshmallow fluff, which is pretty much the same thing. It tastes just like a marshmallow, it's just a lot softer and spreadable. Oh yes, and it's very, very sticky. If you love the combination of peanut butter and marshmallows, you would love this sandwich. So now I can put these 2 pieces together, and then I'm gonna go ahead and cut this into thirds. That way it can fit nicely in the lunchbox. So for this, I'm gonna start by chopping up 2 hard-boiled eggs. For this, I'm going to be using my little egg cutter here. It slices them up really nicely, but I have to say, I'm pretty sure this egg cutter is on its last leg. It's about to break, so hopefully I'll get a couple more uses out of it before it does. Now, as I'm slicing up these eggs, I'm going to reserve 2 slices, and I'll show you what I'm going to do with those in a bit. So now that our eggs are all chopped up, it's time to add some mayo, mustard, salt, pepper, and the secret ingredient, which is a little bit of paprika. Now, to go ahead and build this sandwich, I'm going to start by adding a little bit of mayonnaise to each side. Next, I'm going to pile on the egg salad. I'm going to sprinkle a little more paprika right on the top. Now, I call this a secret ingredient, but it's really not that secret. Paprika is what I usually put on top of my deviled eggs when I make them. Now, before I close up this sandwich, I'm just going to go ahead and add a few pieces of cooked bacon. So as you can tell, this is a bacon and egg salad sandwich. I think this is a really interesting combination. So now I'm going to go ahead and close up this sandwich, but I'm not going to cut it so that I can decorate the top. You guys know I love to make cute faces on top of my sandwiches. So basically, I'm just using whatever I have in the fridge to create this face. I have 2 slices of eggs for his eyes. I'll also add some olives. I'm adding a little smile made out of cheese. He looks so cute already. I'm using cucumbers for his eyebrows. And finally, some shredded up carrot for his hair. This guy has crazy hair and I love it. It turned out so cute. Now this would probably move around a little bit in the lunchbox, not too bad, and you would probably want to eat these toppings first and then move on to the sandwich. So for today, I'm going to try my hand in making some PB&J sushi roll-ups. Now I say sushi, but don't worry, there's no fish in this at all. I'm just going to take 2 pieces of white bread. I'm going to go ahead and trim the crusts off. Of course, you could leave them on if you like. That part is totally up to you. Now, because I want these to roll up really nicely, I'm going to go ahead and use my rolling pin to kind of flatten them out just a bit. This is not hard to do, it just takes a few extra seconds. And now for the good old PB&J. I'm going to go ahead and use some natural peanut butter here. This is a smooth variety. And some good old strawberry jam. That's really what my kids prefer over every other kind of jam. I'll go ahead and spread just a little bit in the center. I think the trick to these is to not put too much filling. Otherwise, when you roll it all up, it's just gonna squirt out everywhere. So I'm gonna end up making several batches of these. I know all of my kids are gonna want some. Once I have all of my rolls done, I like to cut them into thirds and then get them into the lunchbox. Which I'm gonna start with some wheat bread. I'm also gonna be using some natural creamy peanut butter and this time some apricot jam. Apricot is definitely one of my favorites. Now for these sandwiches, I'm actually leaving the crusts on, but as you can see here, I've added the peanut butter and jelly to just one piece of the bread. And to the other slice, I'm actually going to cut out a little heart shape. Now you could use any shape you want for this, but I'm just creating a little window here. But this one's going to be a little bit different. This is kind of like a cross between a PB&J and fairy bread. I actually have a separate video on how to make fairy bread. If you'd like to check that out, I will link it down below. I'm starting with some wheat bread. I'm also using honey ham and Havarti cheese. Oh yes, and I'm also going to be using some radishes, which I'm gonna slice up right here. I want lots of nice round pieces of radish, and you'll see what I'm gonna do with those a little bit later. And I'm also gonna go ahead and cut up some black olives as well. Here we have the beginnings of a special face sandwich. I love making faces on the outside of the sandwich. They are so cute and fun. So now that we have our mayo, our ham, our cheese, and a little bit of mustard on our sandwich, it's time to decorate the front. Now since this is a ham sandwich, I'm gonna try to make a little pig face on the outside of the sandwich. And to glue down the face, I'm using just a little bit of plain cream cheese. So here we have two eyes, a little nose with some black olives to make the nose look more pig-like. I'm also adding some black olives for his eyes. And you can definitely play around with the eye placement here. You can make him look angry or cute. It's totally up to you. Then I'm gonna take half a radish and put it at the top of each side for his little ears. This came out so cute, and I'm really hoping that my kids will try these radishes. And for today's lunch, I'm gonna start by making the main course first. For this, I'm taking some whole wheat bread, and you guessed it, I'm adding peanut butter and jelly, but not just any peanut butter. This is Peter Pan creamy peanut butter, something I've heard of but never actually tried. And for our jam, we're just using strawberry. So far this looks like a regular sandwich, but wait. Have you ever heard of putting chips in your sandwich? Now I have, but usually it's potato chips inside of like a turkey sandwich. But today I'm gonna be putting some nacho Doritos inside of this peanut butter and jelly. Definitely a strange combination. I'm not sure if these flavors are gonna go together. I've heard of lots of different combinations with peanut butter. Things like pickles, cheese, even Cheetos. Let me know in the comments down below if you've ever tried any weird peanut butter combinations. Next, I'm gonna add 2 slices of cucumber, and then I'm gonna get out my box of eye candy. I get a lot of questions about this box. I actually found it at Target and it was like less than $5 for all of these eyes. And there we have it. There are some strange looking and maybe tasting sandwiches. Food coloring. So I'm going to start with 4 different bowls, and to each of these bowls I'm going to add about a cup of shredded mozzarella cheese. Now I've been told that it's important to use mozzarella because it melts really well and gets nice and stringy. Next I'm going to go ahead and add the food coloring. So for my 4 colors I used red, yellow, in this bowl I'm using a combination of blue and green, and in my last bowl I'm going to try my best to make purple, which is of course red and blue together. Now I'm gonna go ahead and mix this all up until all the cheese is coated in the food coloring. Now I have to say that this purple is not really looking purple, and I'm not quite sure if it's gonna turn out. We'll just have to wait and see. Next to my skillet, I'm gonna add a little pat of butter, and as you can see, I'm also wearing some protective gloves because I definitely don't want to dye my hands with all this food color. So now I'm gonna go ahead and place 1 piece of bread directly onto the butter, and then I'm gonna start lining up my cheeses, and I'm going to put as much cheese as I can fit. I really want this to be extra cheesy. Next, I'm gonna top it with the other piece of bread. And when the bottom is nice and toasty, I'll go ahead and flip it to the other side. Now my goal with this grilled cheese is to have that rainbow cheese pull. You know, when you pull the sandwich apart and you can see the cheese in the middle, that's what I really am hoping for. I think it looks so cool. To do this, as you can see, I'm just lightly sawing each side of the bread. I'm not cutting all the way through the sandwich. That part's important. I'm just cutting the bread. I'm not cutting the cheese. Okay, moment of truth. Let's see how it is. Yes, would you look at that cheese pull? This turned out better than I thought it would. And as you can tell, some of the colors did mix together to make that secondary color. And the purple really does look purple. I know all the kids are going to be super excited to see these grilled cheese sandwiches. So these grilled cheese sandwiches are definitely best served hot, but honestly, my kids eat cold grilled cheese sandwiches all the time and they are totally fine with it. Now you guys will have to let me know in the comments down below how you feel about grilled cheese sandwiches. Do you only eat them when they're hot, or maybe you like them better when they're room temperature? Let me know. So for Mackenzie's main course, I'm going to go ahead and make her a blessed sandwich. Bless stands for bacon, lettuce, and egg salad sandwich. So that brings me to my next hack, which is actually a really simple idea, and it's all about the texture of the bread. Now you guys have to let me know in the comments down below, when you make an egg salad, a chicken salad, or a BLT, do you prefer your bread to be nice and soft, or do you like to toast it first? For this hack, I'm actually going to be combining both, and how I'm going to do this is basically just put two pieces of bread together before I add it into the toaster. That way the outside of the bread is going to get nice and crispy, but the inside is going to stay nice and soft. So if you've ever been munching on a crunchy sandwich and it's like cut the roof of your mouth, this half toasted sandwich is supposed to save you from that. So now that Mackenzie's blessed sandwich is done, I can go ahead and add it into her lunchbox and then move on to her fruit and veggie. So my first step for this lunch is to put together a turkey and cheese sandwich stack. Now, if you're not a fan of turkey and cheese, you can definitely swap out these fillings for something else. But basically, I'm just going to take a piece of bread, add some mayo, just a little bit. Next, I'm adding cheese, a slice of turkey, then I'm going to top that off with another piece of bread that I've added a little bit of mayo to as well. Now, so far this sandwich is looking pretty ordinary, nothing too special about it, but that's because I'm not done yet. I'm actually going to repeat this process to create kind of a double-decker sandwich. So I have another layer of turkey and cheese, mayo, and bread. Okay, so now it's time to turn this into a stacker. So what I'm going to do is take 4 of these little bamboo skewers, and I'm actually going to place 4 of these skewers into this big sandwich like this. And this is just going to help keep the sandwich together when I go to cut it. Now I'm using a serrated knife here, and I'm sawing back and forth very gently. I'm trying not to squish the filling out of the sandwich. And then just like that, I'm left with 4 little sandwich stackers. And I'm actually going to add as many of these little sandwiches to the lunchbox as I can. So, and you guys, this one was picked out by my daughter Lily. And for her, we're kind of going for a cat theme. Now, I tried to convince Lily that since this is a cat-themed lunch, that we should be making a tuna fish sandwiches since cats love tuna fish. But Lily herself is not a fan of tuna fish. So instead, we're going to be making some chicken salad. And for this, I am using some canned chicken. All the kids really like the chicken salad I made with this last week, but this time Lily requested no celery, no craisins, no almonds, just plain. So this is literally just the chicken meat, a little bit of salt and pepper, and of course mayonnaise, and that is it. So to make the sandwiches really cute but really easy, I'm going to use a fun sandwich cutter. Now you guys, these cutters actually come in a kit with several different cutters. There's a pig, a frog, a panda, and a cat. I did find these on Amazon, and I'll go ahead and put a link to this down below. And of course, for today's lunch, we're going with the cat-shaped one. So to put together these sandwiches, it's going to be really quick and easy. I've just started by cutting out the little cat shape. I'm going to go ahead and put these bread crusts in a Ziploc bag for later. Now, these sandwiches end up being sort of a peekaboo sandwich as well. So one of the pieces of bread I will keep whole, and the other one, I'm going to use this little sandwich cutter to punch out a little cat face. And you guys, what's really cool about this sandwich cutter set is that it comes with this little tool that comes in really handy when you're trying to pop out all the little holes and details of the cutter. So now that the bread is ready to go, I'm just going to fill it with as much of this chicken salad as I can fit. I'm just going to be putting one of these sandwiches into each lunch, so I want to make sure it's nice and full. And then before I close up the sandwich, I also added just a couple of pieces of lettuce. so for today's special sandwich, I'm actually gonna start by cutting the crusts off. Let me know in the comments down below how many of you prefer your sandwich with crusts versus without. Now, I don't like to throw these away, I save them, and I even have a special video where I show you exactly how I use them to make a delicious French toast casserole. So I'll go ahead and link that down below if you want to check it out. Now these sandwiches are going to end up having a peekaboo window, so I've picked a different shape for each child. So I'm just cutting out a star shape, a heart, and a flower. Now instead of mayonnaise in our sandwich, I'm going to actually use this chicken dipping sauce. Now I know that might sound weird, but chicken dipping sauce is basically a mixture of honey mustard sauce and barbecue sauce. So I think it's a really yummy alternative to mayo. Next I'm going to go ahead and add some lettuce. I don't know if Jackson will be happy to see this, but I'm going to put it on his sandwich anyway. Next I'm adding some smoked turkey, and finally just some slices of cheddar cheese. Now you could definitely leave this piece of bread in or take it out. It's totally up to you. So there you have it. These sandwiches look so cute and they were really easy to make. Now for our fruit today, I definitely want to use up these mandarin oranges before they go bad. So I'm adding about an orange and a half into each lunch. For our veggies today, I'm doing a combination of sugar snap peas and baby carrots, with ranch of course, but sometimes it can be kind of hard to clean the ranch out of the center section. So I'm gonna go ahead and put the ranch in our ranch container and then put the container into the lunchbox. I think it'll be a lot easier to clean up that way. And these little sauce containers just fit perfectly down in there, so it works out nice. Next up, we have a special treat. Now, I actually stopped into the IKEA store in Orlando the other day and picked up a few things, including these cookies. These ones are so cute with a little heart shape and they have a raspberry filling. I think 2 or 3 in each lunch is like the perfect amount. I'm gonna go ahead and give the kids each 2 of these little cookies. For an added snack today, I'm also gonna give the kids a drinkable yogurt. I really like these stony filled ones. And then for the drink, I'm adding this teeny tiny fruit punch box. And of course, they'll also have their water.